Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ready, Set, Real Estate with yours truly, Lisa Porter, Super Agent. I am so thrilled. We worked out the technical stuff, and our guest, Darryl Smith, is on. I'm going to just do this real quick and make sure I share this to our page is what I'm going to do. Make sure that we've got this going. I got to refresh my page. And great. All right. I'm like stoked. And Darryl Smith, you guys, CEO of Cyber Visions. Darryl, welcome to the show. Hi, hello, how are you?
How you doing? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm so excited right now. I'm excited because of the information of what we're about to share is really what's got me super thrilled. And I'm just looking to make sure we're good on. Okay, good. So everything's good. And we are going to share just kind of things we've been talking about over the past couple of days. Now, you are currently where?
I'm in Humboldt, Texas, which is right on the outskirts of Houston. So
Okay.
Actually, you might as well say I'm in Houston, Texas.
Right. Have seen the images, those who are not local to what's happened. And along with the additional hurricanes and the catastrophes that have happened, this has kind of opened room for opportunity in terms of those who are in this industry. And what I titled today's segment is Rebuilding and the Rebuilders. Are you one of them? And so we wanted to spotlight today just a couple of the things that we've been talking about in terms of the opportunities in business. Also, just really providing an invaluable service to those in the community that need the support. But I think right now, just in terms of the logistics and the real issues at hand right now, which is one we talked about, are claims, money, insurance, and your projects. So fill us in right now. And by the way, you guys, I on just the last segment, I was just talking about Darryl. So Darryl runs a business both here in Cali and Texas, and he's a great resource in terms of the industry. Darryl, how long? About 14 years?
No, 20.
20. Oh my gosh. I shorted you 7? That's 6. That's crazy. Man, 2 decades in the industry. 2 decades in the industry. So I was just like praising you guys because I said, without people like you, this is one field that cannot be outsourced. No one outside these borders can do your work. You have your team, your company, someone like you, an entity has to come in and do it, and it has to be hands-on. I don't think we've gotten to the place where we can just do it in a non-manual labor way is what I guess I'm saying. But please bring us up to speed on just some of the things that we shared and we talked about. I'd love for people to hear your perspective of what's happening in terms of, albeit FEMA, the insurance, the claims, and turnaround time, and trying to get some people back up and running.
Well, I've been helping out as many people as I can. Some people have been fortunate enough to get some FEMA funding, but FEMA does not have any money in their flood insurance program. So it's kind of hard. You know, we hear the president talking about, don't worry about it, this is going to happen, and we're going to make it happen, and then it's not happening. There's a lot of people out here that, for instance, I just talked to she's 22 years old. She's displaced. She's staying with a friend. Her dad, who was staying in a shelter, decided to go back to his house. Volunteers are the ones that are going around removing the drywall. And what they're doing is they're removing the drywall from the ground up to 4 feet. So there's only so many volunteers. And they've done a great job in some of the areas, but most of those areas are in the richer areas, I would say. So some of the people like in Port Arthur, since the flood had impacted that area so much. There's just too much work to be that can be done by from volunteers.
Right.
One guy by the name of can I say name here? Or should I?
As long no. You can give first name, I guess.
Okay. Well, there's one guy that sticks out to me. His name is Vendale, and he's over in Port Arthur. His house is full of mold.
Wow.
The house that you saw pales in comparison to what he's living in right now. And I just got off the phone with him. I'm trying to get him out of there. And I'm trying to assemble a crew to go over there to do it. Basically, he doesn't have any money. He's waiting on FEMA. He's been waiting on FEMA for the longest. I had an actual date of inspection with FEMA. And what I did is I really don't have any damage. So what I did is I just asked them to put him in my place. And hopefully they'll do it. Wow. They'll sit and see what they can do. So those are the kind of issues we're running into. We're getting and then some of the insurance companies are, you have adjusters. I have an adjuster. She'll probably come on and give you guys a reason why they're denying claims. But what they're doing, their job is to come out here to kind of help the insurance companies. So when you see them send a bunch of adjusters to an area, yeah, it's to help the client, but at the most important thing is for them to represent that insurance company and to prevent them from having to pay out a lot of claims. So you have that don't want to pay, and then you have FEMA that and the opportunities are for people like in California who have money, who can come here and buy these properties that people are going to probably walk away from, because if you walk away from the house, they're not going to give you a foreclosure. That's one of the things that they are.
So talk to us about that, because you did send me a message and you were saying they weren't penalizing people who walked away from flooded homes. Is that what?
Yeah. If you walk away from a flooded home right now, they're not gonna. They cannot give you a foreclosure. Okay. So you can just abandon the property, but most people don't want to abandon their property because they've been there for years and years and years. They've lost everything. They've lost treasures. They've lost. I mean, you have guys who've lost medals and stuff like that from the Korean War. I mean, it's just crazy.
Right, it's a devastation.
To share, I don't know if I could, but this is actually what was in Vendale's house.
Did you have it in your pocket?
Yeah, it's in my phone.
Oh, okay.
But it's an alligator.
Okay.
It's actually an alligator inside the house.
He had an alligator.
And that's what, yes, because
how big?
The floodwaters. He was a very big alligator.
Wow.
So.
Oh, that's scary.
And then there's like 3 hurricanes. I mean, there's Irma, there's Maria, there's Jose, there's Harvey. With that being said, the opportunities are, a lot of us don't know about it as being an adjusters for the insurance companies.
Okay.
That they have a course that you can take online. It's called 360training.com. Mm-hmm. You go through that course, then you register. It's called All Lines Adjuster. Then you take that 360training.com course. You put that, after you finish it, you go and you register with the Texas Department of Insurance, and you become an adjuster. And then you're automatically on the list. And when these disasters happen, the insurance company will contact you automatically and say, help. So,
right. So what I did, I just dropped it into the comments so that the people need a point of reference as they're watching this, that in terms of why you say that, because you're saying right now, on the opposite spectrum of that. And I just want to recap as you were talking about insurance, because also in the mortgage industry, the FHA insured loans are designed to allow people who put less than 20% down to purchase a property, and they insure the loan in the event of a default. So you guys, this isn't foreign. What Darryl's talking about in terms of someone who is representing an insurance company is there to protect the shareholders of that insurance company. The FHA insured loan, so in the event that you defaulted on your home and you have an FHA insured loan, they then will pay a percentage of the balance to the lender once they file the claim because of your default. So what Darryl is saying here in this aspect of those who are applying for claims and an insurance adjuster goes out, and I can't imagine how many of those claims are being denied, and that may just be something I feel like Pandora's is going to open with that they'll start to scrutinize why claims are being denied and are these legitimate reasons to deny claims right now. And I really can't expand on that because I'm not privy to the insurance claims world. But yeah, like you said, you had someone, a contact who's working that. And I think education is key. The more knowledge we have, the more information we have access to, we would be able to navigate the scenarios that are at hand right now, especially if you're on the other side of that, right? You're the person who's paid the insurance or may not. And I think some of the thing that you shared with me was a lot of these homes that were actually not mapped as flood zones area didn't have flood insurance. So they've been subjected to having to either come up with it out of pocket, which is like what Darryl said. Some of the wealthier areas are obviously would be able to recover a lot faster than some of these areas that don't, where the individuals don't have funds for the event of an emergency. So Darryl, I just wanted to recap and reiterate on what you were saying in terms of the insurance world, in terms of business, in terms of right now that there are homes that would be opportunity in an investigator.
I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. So Darryl, what is that? So like I said, it's just interesting for me to see. I mean, you came out here last week for 2 days, you flew back out, and you're out there doing the work. And how is it looking in terms of opportunity for work in terms of those that are in your industry?
One of the things is that, I mean, if you have some construction experience, even if you don't, I mean, you can sign up as a contractor out here. Typically in like Houston, Texas, you don't have to have a contractor's license, so it's easy. And then there's opportunities for other contractors to come from out of state because they're helping them and assisting them because they need the help. Then you register with FEMA, and then you go around and you can pick up trash and bill the government. So that's one of the opportunities is trash cleanup, because what people are doing is they're taking all their damaged contents and they're discarding them and putting them out on the street, and then they're sending these big trucks to go pick them up. All those guys are subcontractors. As far as us in the industry, there's just so much work that it's dumb not to be able to get a job. And there's a lot of work if you don't know of a lot of jobs out here. I mean, not just volunteer jobs, but there's just a bunch of companies coming out here that they're looking for help. The rebuild process, the big issue we're going to have here is rebuilding Texas, and it's mostly the southeast of Texas.
Okay.
Is finding enough construction workers. That's one of the scares that they're having. Are we going to have enough people to help us build this thing back together? The other day the Target was flooded. It's in the shopping center. They were redoing that, and I've never seen so many flood restoration people in my life. And wow. They're all on one project.
So you said register with FEMA. So one of the things that you said in terms of just someone who's looking for work, and this is what I have seen, and my partners and I have talked about this. We were talking about when you share that in terms of there's no penalty for those who are walking away from flooded properties, that they were offering, I believe you said something about investor opportunities to come out and purchase. So they are making it very attractive for outside money to come in and rebuild the infrastructure. That way it doesn't weigh heavy on the local agencies and the local governments. Yes. Especially as, like you said, there's limited funding. And not only that, so we're talking about Houston as one aspect of all these other places that have been hard hit with now 4 hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
So really, we're faced now with such a serious collaborative, cooperative, economic effort, you guys. Like, this is so real that we have now been forced to work collectively with one another, to support one another, and to help rebuild our communities. I just like, it just, for me, it's like, gosh, it's just so plain as day that we've been saying these things for so long, but now here we're in a forced position to do it. And I'm so happy, Darryl, that you're saying, hey, I'm seeing it. And I'm going to reshare the video that you did, because when I looked, I just couldn't, it literally looked like a junkyard. When you're saying that people are discarding all their possessions because it's been damaged, they've got to clear out the properties because of the mold damage. And that's all what comes with real estate, albeit you're renting or owning. And I know, as we've heard some of the stories unfold of people who've been impacted, this is one avenue that we can turn into an opportunity to rebuild. Yeah. Any other thoughts in terms of what we're talking about?
Yeah, well, one of the things is when you buy a house, especially in the you have to keep in mind, I know you want to save money on your monthly payment when you first get a house. You don't want to go on a payment shock. So you try to find a way to shave money. And most of the times, the first thing you want to shave is your insurance. Well, a lot of these people are taking the cheap insurance, and that insurance has a high deductible of $6,000. So by the time the insurance adjuster finishes with their claim, their payout is zero because of the deductible. So some of them are getting awarded water damages, but they're not getting it because their deductible is too high. Another thing is that flood insurance only costs $451. And typically it can cost, but the deductible on that is 2%, 2% of the policy limit. So things that we are not even aware of, because a lot of insurance companies don't even tell you about flood insurance, unless you're in a flood prone area. And most of the houses that flooded were not in a flood area, a flood prone area, and they've never flooded ever. So that's one of the things to keep in mind if you're going to live in an area like this. And even in California, there's insurances that you should get, like earthquake insurance.
Earthquake insurance, right, which most people don't have. And the premiums tend to, and that's, for those of you, that's issued through the California Earthquake Authority here, because we know in California, that's what we have. We have earthquakes. So you need to be mindful about certain things like that, because as we're talking about, and as you know, as I'm about the empowerment of the real estate literacy aspect. What does that mean when you're preparing to buy it, sell it, own it? The management of it is protecting that investment, because this is quite an investment for you. So you want to make sure that in these events that you have enough coverage, and that depends on you. You have to determine what is of value and take that inventory. What would you, Darryl, what would you recommend as we're talking about inventory and things to keep in mind in terms of preparedness, right? In terms, like one thing I can think about is we all have phone cameras, and it's just taking a video footage of what you have in your property in terms to do inventory. I think that's one of the easy ways. Use your camera and take pictures of what you have, and that way you can just itemize, well, this is what I have, this is what the value is. Definitely, if you're buying big ticket items, you guys still keep the receipt for that stuff, because that's important. What else in terms of, Darryl, that you can think about?
And this doesn't just go for property owners. I mean, you also have renters, and then for renters, there's renters insurance. So, and then there's a lot of people that don't even have renters insurance, so they just lose. Right. So everyone's begging the federal government to help them out because they didn't prepare. So, horrible situation.
Right. This is why I'm saying I wanted to shed a light in terms of what's happening But as we're talking about preparedness and we're talking about opportunities, because on one aspect of the spectrum, it goes both ways, right? That the spectrum, we're all in that same spectrum. So we're going to have a negative aspect and a positive aspect. And I'd like to spotlight the opportunity in this, that we can, in the rebuilding, and if you're a person that is humble, no ego side, you need money, funds to continue to support yourself, your family, your community. Here, Darryl just shared in terms of the opportunity that the community is looking for in terms of subcontracting out trash cleanup, because there's an immense amount of now damaged furniture, personal belongings that is now just being disposed and discarded outside the homes in the street. So this is an opportunity for you to do that on a subcontracting level. And Darryl, you also said was there another website or that you wanted to plug in where people can kind of look into? And here's another thing. We're using this as a platform for people to learn, because they have access to their phones. Not everyone has. I mean, I can imagine maybe laptops and computers have been damaged as well. So as they're looking at on their phone, what other recommendations do you have? We talked about possibly looking into the insurance adjuster positions and registering at, you said 360training.com. Was that the website?
Yeah, that's the training for, that's the training. Insurance adjusters make between $300 if they're just going out to look at a claim and it's a no. They're going to deny it. They're going to get $300 just for showing up.
Wow.
Anything after that, if their measurements, they create the estimate for the insurance company, submitted. So you typically can do 3 or 4 claims a day.
Right. I'm just throwing that on the screen for those who are chiming in. Insurance adjusters opportunities, you guys. I misspelled that, so let me do it again. Insurance adjusters training, visit 360training.com. Darryl, we're going to get ready to wrap it up. And I just really want to thank you again for just coming on and sharing this information, because I thought it was something that my partners and I were talking about in terms of real estate, because I think when we talked about it, you said it's already happening, right? People putting up the signs that said, "We buy flooded homes," right?
Yes.
It's already happening. People are already in the motion, and they'll be considering that in the future in terms of purchasing. And with that comes the management of that property. So it's one thing to say, I'm gonna go out there and buy and just pick up a couple, but make sure you're connected with people who are out there that can refer you to either a property management company. Make sure you're connected with some vendors. Cyber Visions is definitely one that you should reach out to. Darryl, let me, what do you have a link that you want me to share in terms of people getting in contact with you? You're already tagged in this on Facebook, so you're on Facebook.
So they can go to my website, www.cybervisionselectric.com.
Cybervisions, plural?
And I would, yeah, plural or not plural, either one.
Okay, so I just cybervisions.com. And if you need anything related to what is the scope of the work that you do, that way so people who are wanting to utilize your services, that they're aware.
Well, we do everything. We're doing we do concrete, flat work. We're doing electrical. We do plumbing. We do windows, doors, roofing. We're a general electrical contractor.
Okay, great. So again, cybervisionelectric.com. I just went to your website to make sure I plugged it in again. So let me do it this way. Boom. There it is. Darryl Smith, CEO, Cyber Visions. Again, he's here to just share his information. Like I said, he's been on the ground, 10 toes to the concrete, right, Darryl? I've seen your videos.
Yes, ma'am.
I just looked at your post too. Was that the alligator that you posted? It's like this big old 5-foot alligator almost.
Yes. In the living room.
In the living room. So you guys, the reason why he's saying the police, and I saw it on his timeline, the police don't want you to return back homes is because there's a huge possibility that you may have an alligator waiting for you that's just kind of hanging out. So what are people supposed to do when they see that, just as a matter of safety and precaution? What should they be doing, Darryl?
What they should do is they should tackle it. No, I'm just kidding. No, they call it game warden. Take it down. No, call the game warden.
Okay. So they'll call the game warden?
And they'll come out.
Got it. That's just like surreal for me because I'm in California. What?
Yeah. Actually, and another opportunity out here is that there's some houses that people that got flooded or just afraid or whatever, and they want to sell and go somewhere else. But there are houses out here at 5,000 square feet, 4,000 square feet, going for $275,000.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you want to live big, I mean, Houston's a place. Houston's a beautiful place. It's a lovely community. I've never, ever been anywhere where the Houstonians love each other the way they love each other. And most people try to make us think that it's a big racist thing out here in the South. That is bull. It is a very loving place. It's very, very hospitable place. People are very friendly. And I'm here to tell you, I love Houston.
I love that. He said, I love Houston.
That's Los Angeles. I love Houston.
Right. Darryl, thank you so much again. I appreciate it. I'm glad we worked out the technical stuff, but you definitely shed some light on what's happening, you guys. So make sure you share this with someone. Be sure to check us out next Wednesday on Ready, Set Real Estate for our next guest. And again, there's tons of opportunities right now. Are you part of the rebuilding? Are you a rebuilder? That's up to you. I'll leave that with you on your plate, you guys. Darryl, thanks again. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.